Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 120 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor and Damon. How's it going, guys?
Morning. Or, well, I guess it's afternoon for you. We always have that weird...
It just became afternoon, so
yeah.
just got to afternoon. And then, people will be listening to this at any time, too. So it could be morning or afternoon when you're listening to this. Or evening, whenever you feel like listening. So.
Exactly. But I'll say good morning because I'm still waking up.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I get that. Makes sense. It's a little weird because I'm getting close now to like my trip coming up here, and I'm getting all the emails from Disney like, what to expect, this thing. They make you like, I don't know if you guys know this, but now like a thing is when like right before you go, they send you like an email and they make you like acknowledge that you read over their guidelines and that you are still coming. Like literally you have to click a thing that says you're still coming. Yeah, they send you an email on that. Isn't that interesting?
I totally get that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, with the way things are, people are, it's a lot more volatile. So, they want to try and rebook the rooms if possible. And also, making sure that people have read the guidelines seems to be a hard thing. Like, you'd think we all would have read them by now, but...
You'd think so. You think so. So, no, I'm definitely getting excited for my trip coming up here. It's just, still, it's just about a month away now. So that's exciting.
I can't wait. I can't wait for an actual trip report.
I know, right? I know. I can't wait to actually take a trip and just go somewhere. I feel like I've been in my house, 24/7 for that, which isn't true. But I've mostly been in my house for the past year, so it would be nice to go somewhere different.
Yeah, for sure.
So, anyway, do you guys want to get right into some questions here?
Yeah, sure do.
All right. Jody wants to know thoughts on future of FastPass. When will it come back? Will it be different? What would you like FastPass to look like when it returns? I feel like that last question we've talked about a bunch of times because Damon wants it to be like you pay for it and
Yeah, like Max Pass.
Yeah.
Which
that's what Damon talked about before.
Which I think that makes sense, but the whole when will it come back? I think is the big deciding factor, and I'm leaning towards like early next year. I don't see them doing anything major until the end of this year with FastPass.
Yeah, I could see that. It's hard to know, really, right? I think it doesn't come back until they're back at like 100% capacity, right? Till they're completely open back up. Like I'm just feeling like that's the case. Because, part of the reason they shut FastPass down, and this is the reason that they said, and I think it's a valid reason, is, to allow distancing within the lines and to also, in some lines to use that extra space, as queue space for the distancing. So, that makes sense to me. So I think a lot of it, will be once they get back to 100%, they're not having to distance the lines anymore. I do think that at some point that they're going to go to I think they're going to go to a more of a hybrid system. If you look at like, I forget which park it is. I feel like I want to say it's Disneyland Paris. They have both a paid version and a free version. I could see them going that route at Disney World, going like with a free tier and a paid tier.
And I think that's actually the case or I shouldn't say this because I'm probably wrong at this point because it's been a few years, but I think they had something similar at Disneyland as well. Like in California. Because the Max Pass was the paid premium tier, and I can't remember what the feature was around it. There was something... Actually, yeah, I think I know what it was. It was literally just that you could do the bookings from your phone, from in the app.
Yeah, you could do it sooner or have priority, right?
Well, no, the other option was they still had the old FastPass booths. Like, you didn't get the ticket anymore. Yeah. But yeah, so if you wanted to do it, free, you would still have to walk up and get your FastPass, which, sounds great, except when you're running all over the park to get fast passes. I don't know if you ever had to do that with the booths. Yeah,
we've had arguments on the show before where I felt like that was super inefficient, and Damon has felt like that was like the way to do things. So
yeah, But like I said, I back to your point about the 100% capacity before we see fast passes. I think that is going to be one of the major deciding factors, and I know a lot of people are probably thinking that it will come like because they have the 50th coming in October, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be busy, but I think that because of the park reservations, that's going to be the big control there, and they may not be back at 100% by the 50th. I know they would probably want to be, but I think it'll definitely be a matter of, probably late into this year, you won't see anything. And then I wouldn't be surprised if we get an announcement kind of when the 100th is starting that, like, oh, in the new year, look out for, a new fast pass option or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them waiting to 2022 to go ahead and launch like a new system or phasing it back in or something like that. I don't really know though what it's going to look like. I do think they're going to take this opportunity to make some changes though, and I wonder if there's. I don't think that they're going to make it all pay. I do feel like there's still going to be a free tier there. I just don't think that it's going to. That they would do it that way. It just doesn't feel like that's something that they're going to do. They've had it free for this long. It feels like they would still have a free option and have some sort of paid option along with it. But I mean, who knows though? That just seems to be what I think that they're going to do. But as to when it comes back, it's anybody's guess, right? I mean, we really don't know. I do think things will start to normalize in the summertime a little bit. I think they're going to start having more, like maybe less distancing in the lines and maybe kind of relaxing some things. But I don't know. We'll have to find out. We'll have to see.
Yeah. All right. Do we want?
That's a good question for you to read.
Yeah. So Tanya asks, thoughts on staying at the Polynesian while the Epcot monorail is down? Should we just hold off? It's not like I have a car at Poly, so monorail.
I'd like to not have a car. Yeah.
Or I'd like to not have a car. Yeah. So monorailing at two parks would be great since strollers and buses are 0% fun, which is fair.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess if the buses are that big of a detractor for you, yeah, it's the other thing too is that the station at the Poly is closed down, which really doesn't matter for getting to Epcot because you would still just walk over to the TTC.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, yeah, if that doesn't fit your the way your family does things, then definitely find something closer. Honestly, yeah, like they're, looking at one of the resorts like Riviera or Boardwalk or, any of the ones closer to Epcot. If that's your big concern is getting to Epcot, then I would say stay near Epcot and don't worry about staying at Poly right now.
Well, yeah, because to your point, yeah, like you said, Poly, you can't even get to Magic Kingdom by the monorail right now because they literally have no station. It's being rebuilt from scratch at the moment. So, yeah, it's gonna be a little while. I mean, I don't know when you were looking on going, Tanya, but might be a little bit before the monorail is actually an option over at Poly.
Yeah, because they said it wasn't going to be open till the summer at the earliest, right?
Yeah. So I mean, they're making good progress, and summer's not far off. I mean, that's 3-4 months from now, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be back then. I mean, who knows when the Epcot monorail is going to be back though? Like that's again, I think this all kind of hinges on whenever things start normalizing and they don't have to do as much distancing and that kind of stuff. I mean, I think that's why the Epcot monorail is down now. It's just because they just can't fit enough people on it to run it efficiently with all of the distancing needs and all that. So I my assumption that's what it is. That's what I've heard. So
I should also add on to this. So the rest of Tanya's question, she was saying that a big part of this for her kids is that they love the water slides. So they wanted to make sure that they stayed at a place that had a good pool. Which going back to what I was saying about staying at one of the other resorts. Boardwalk has a decent resort, or a decent pool. There is, again, I don't know if you can get in there at this point, but Beach Club has one of the best pools on property.
It's true, yeah.
And I haven't heard anything bad about Riviera's. It's, I mean, I think pretty much all the new resorts, they have a pool with a water slide and a splash park, which for the ages of her kids, the splash park is still will still be a thing. I know for my son, he was disappointed because we went to Poly and he saw the splash park, but he was too big to get in there. So there's that.
And to your point, like, I don't think I've heard anybody say anything positive or negative about the pool at Riviera.
Right? I mean, it's
like, it just seems like it's a pool, like, it's cool. It's not like, beach club,
I've seen video, people walking around it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's a nicely themed pool. It has a water slide, just like, honestly, I think
they all do, right? They all have a water slide of some sort.
Yeah, all of them do. So yeah, it's not, or I shouldn't say not all of them do. I'm trying to think of.
Well, some of the smaller ones at Old Key West and Saratoga, don't, like, because they have those smaller satellite pools, but like their main pools do.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah. You can always go to the main pool and find a water slide. So, I guess, to that end, like she said, that's a big draw for her kids. And, for the sake of saving yourself, some walking time, or walking or driving or busing time, the Riviera is probably that sweet spot because it has the Skyliner to both Hollywood Studios and Epcot, so you're not even having to worry about walking past. You can take the Skyliner back and forth if you need to.
Yeah, and if you have a regular stroller, you don't even need to fold it up. You just walk it right on. Although if you have a double, I mean, I see you have a lot of kids there. You might have some double strollers. Then you do have to fold it up, but still better than getting on the bus.
Yeah,
and it's constantly moving, so the line is a lot shorter, and it's I would say the Skyliner is a better option if you want that kind of access to Epcot. I would agree with that. That's a good idea. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And then also, for like walking distance to if you want something like that, I mean, staying at Poly at this point, you can also walk to Magic Kingdom. So
I mean, that's still a bit of a walk, like going all the way around.
It is. It's a walk, yeah. I mean, but I'm just saying you could if you wanted to. It's an option now,
It is, and really, I think the biggest thing is, if you're staying at Poly right now, it's if you're going to Magic Kingdom, it makes sense. If you're wanting to go to the other parks, just because of the renovations and everything being closed, it probably doesn't make the most amount of sense, especially for a large party. Like if you're trying to get kids and adults and, get everybody on buses or whatever. Back to the original question is, I would say hold off for now. I don't think it would be as good of an experience as it could be for you.
Yeah. You might just want to hold off to see when that's all going to reopen and go from there.
Yeah. All right,
or or stay at Saratoga, something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know how to take Jody's question because I really don't honestly know what Run Disney even is. I know it's like
it's the running events that they.
I know, but I don't understand. What like. Yeah, it's a running event, but it just holds no interest for me. So I have no concept of what. Why it needs to come back or why it would come back.
I do find it interesting that we're getting a lot of the questions right now of when will X come back. I mean, we don't know anything. So
I think a lot of people are just
antsy to get back to normal.
Yeah, we all are. I want to go back really bad, but it's still going to be a while.
Yeah. No, I get it. Jody, as much as I want to answer your question, I think it's going to sound similar to our last questions. It's just, we don't know. And maybe I don't think, honestly, for that one, I just don't think any of those events that bring large crowds like that are going to happen until 2022. I think you're looking at 2022 for that because they got to plan those things out a while ahead of time. Right. I mean, it's not just an event you could pop up overnight. They got to plan them months ahead of time. So to not have, I thought they canceled them all for 2021 already, but I could be wrong about that. I might have just made that up. So don't listen to me. But I thought they canceled them all for this year, and that they were going to start up again next year. But that would be my guess if I were to guess.
Yeah, makes sense.
I like Rachel's question, although I don't know if I have a good answer to it. This feels like a good Damon question. This feels like a question that Damon would be all about right here. Is if you can ask any Disney, any question of a Disney executive while they're under truth serum, what would you ask?
I don't care enough. What do I really want to ask them?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Oh, I got an easy one.
I'm going to say, do you regret not buying the theme park rights to Harry Potter?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Mine would be, when are you actually going to fix the Yeti?
I mean, I feel like their head would explode. They wouldn't have a real answer.
Or I would get a really, like, the answer that I don't want to hear. But
well, then Rhodey's gone. So now what are you going to do? Joe Rhodey's gone. He was the driving force there, and now he's retired.
I don't feel that was entirely the case. I know he was very vocal about it on social media, but I don't think he's the only one there that wants to see it fixed.
I think he said something to the effect, though, if it's the last thing I do, I'll get that Yeti fixed or something on social media.
Lots of people say things on social media.
Yeah. He doesn't work for Disney anymore. Though now he does have a new job. He wasn't obviously retired. He was just retired from Disney. So, where did I see that he's working? I think it's like Virgin Galactic, right?
Yeah, I think he got contracted to some place in, I want to say either Dubai or somewhere like that, like somewhere over in Asia or Europe. To do again, he's still doing theme park stuff, but he got contracted to another theme park over there. Not Disney or Universal.
It does seem like while this was going on, that Disney gave some buyout retirement packages to some of the senior Imagineers, and a couple of them took it, including Rhodey. I mean, I don't have any information on that, but it seems like a lot of the older Imagineers retired during the pandemic. So.
I mean, it makes sense because, a lot of times it's like, well, do you really want to go through all this, or could you just, put your hand up and tap out and then...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Plan of attack if you had a limited... This is Kevin. Plan of attack if you had a limited time in Magic Kingdom on a sold-out at capacity day. Do you... Now, I want clarification on this question. Are you talking about capacity right now, or are you talking about capacity like... New Year's Eve during normal times? Is that what we're talking about? Or
so let's just assume at capacity means the park is super busy that day.
Okay.
Whatever that whatever the current capacity is. What he's asking is, do you prioritize quality e-ticket rides with longer lines, or do you go for quantity, aiming for the shortest lines no matter what the ride is? So it's a matter of, do you just get
quantity
on
or quality?
Yeah. Do you just get on things, am I riding... I wouldn't even use the Barnstormer as an example, because that even has an awful line. But, whatever your worst ride is, whatever the ride you like the least, do you just keep riding it to justify the fact that you're there and you're riding something on a busy day? Or do you suck it up and, get in potentially a 2 or 3 hour line for a ride just because of the fact that there's nothing else to do?
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
See, personally, I probably go quantity. I'm the type of person, I like to get my money's worth, and I feel like quantity, I'd feel more like I got my money's worth.
I don't feel it's that simple myself, because there is still certain rides that I feel a need every time I go to Magic Kingdom to get on Pirates and to get on Haunted Mansion. Those are kind of my... I mean, they're obvious, everyone wants to ride them. But I have had it happen where, I've walked up and Pirates has been a 90-minute line, and I'm like, maybe not, we'll come back later, or we'll, try it on another day or whatever. So it's kind of an in-the-moment thing. I feel like I would be adjusting my plans a lot on that day, getting to a ride and then making a decision and saying, are we doing this or are we not doing it? I would probably go for, 1 or 2 big rides just because, and then, the rest of the time would probably be, just getting on whatever I could find at that moment.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have to rope drop an e-ticket, right? So you rope drop one of the big ones that you have to go. I feel like it's got to be a combination.
Or
it has to be a combination of you do maybe 1 or 2 of the e-tickets, and then you do a lot of the non-e-ticket ones.
Well, and I think too, this is something that we use when we are in the parks, is we kind of screw up our our eating schedule, or we deliberately plan around, like, you know, I would rather eat at 11 o'clock in the morning for lunch, and then that way I can be on rides at lunch, or if I know, you know, parade or fireworks is coming, I will do other things. Like I will go, you know, I will go get on rides during the fireworks, and I will sacrifice those things for the sake of, you know, like avoiding the crowds. Again, the problem is right now is you can't even do that because there's no formal parades, there's no fireworks, so it's just you're getting in lineups and that's it. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think the context of, you know, current situation or before pandemic or after pandemic, it does change this conversation a lot.
It does. Yeah. It does, for sure. For sure. All right. Damon, do you have any thoughts on this one, or you want to?
No.
No. Okay.
There's no e-ticket rides at Magic Kingdom in my head.
What?
Yeah. No.
Wow. Hot take. Not even like Space Mountain or anything?
Nope.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we get the Dan ridiculous question of the week. Do you want to read this one, Trevor, since I've been reading questions?
Dan says, why do we continue to get Pixar movies for free at release while other studios within the Disney bubble have a paid premiere access? Onward, Soul, and Luca are given to us, while Mulan, Raya, and Black Widow are paid access. What is it about Pixar that they can give away their movies?
This is a good question. I actually, it's not a ridiculous question, Dan. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have framed it that way, because I think this is a good question. I do think it probably has something to do with what they think they're going to make out of it from the box office, maybe. Like, or, I mean, it can't be budget related, right? So, because the budgets for Pixar movies are typically like, you know, $150 million to $200 million. So, I mean, it's not like they're small budgets. They still have pretty big budgets. I'm more wondering if they're prioritizing those because the Pixar brand is so strong, so they're using it to keep people on Disney Plus. I don't know. There's definitely a strategy there, though.
Yeah, you're right. Those are good potential
Toys.
reasons. Toys.
Yeah. There's that.
Yeah.
So remember how much money is made off of toys versus the movie. It's actually insane. So you're going to get Pixar toys that parents are going to buy versus you're not getting Black Widow toys.
I get a Black Widow action figure. No?
Well, that's one thing, though. You don't like...
No, you're right. No, you're right. You're totally right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you've seen the spread of toys that they have for every single Pixar movie. I mean, they have a movie called Toy Story.
Yeah,
like
sure. I mean, it is an interesting strategy. You would think though that Raya would fall into that category too, though. Like you would think that they would, if they were just targeting kids and toys, you would think that Raya at least would have moved into that. No,
because you're talking about different age ranges.
Yeah. It's not targeted at the younger kids, right? Like Raya is cool, and I think we're all looking at going, hey, that looks like a fun show, but it's not.
Yeah, if you really go look at toy money, it's crazier than you think. Like Cars toy money was insane.
Oh, I know. I contributed to that.
I don't think I have any Cars related stuff from my house.
My kid was like, he was 3 when Cars 2 came out, which was like that perfect age where, we just had everything Mater and Lightning McQueen in the house for a while.
Yeah, I can only imagine the amount that they made on that. I'm sure it was crazy. So it is interesting. Like, I'm glad that they're not doing everything on that Premier Access. And by the way, I haven't done it yet. I think when we talked about Mulan being in that, I think I talked about it. We were going to pay for Mulan. We ended up not doing that. I will tell you one I will do it for is Black Widow. I've been waiting for that movie for a while, and I will pay for that one. That will get done. I will watch it first day it's available.
So my wife actually, she paid for Mulan. I ended up not watching it just because I had other things I wanted to do at the time. And she loved it. She thought it was great. There was no complaints from her about, paying the premium for it because, it still goes back to that, everyone says, well, why don't they just give it to us for free? And it's like, well, the difference is you're not getting the theater time anymore, right? So, usually they would make this money on the theater where you would go and my family's fairly cheap and, we get away with $50 for tickets and stuff at the theater. But, that's, paying them $20 on their service for the Premier Access really, I don't feel bad about that for a couple of movies. And the other thing I got to wonder too about Pixar is if I got to wonder if there was some prearranged agreement there, like before the pandemic. I feel like, Disney and Pixar have worked together for a long time. They may have had something set up where, these movies may have been kind of like what you were saying, Tom, is, as a way to get people into the platform or keep them there while they line up these other movies that may have the premium or the premium ticket, right?
I always think back to I think it was the Imagineering story. They were doing an interview in that show with Bob Iger, and Iger said the reason that they bought Pixar was because Pixar had a higher brand rating amongst kids and parents than Disney does, which is crazy to say, but like their movies had a higher, and I don't know if that's still true now. This was true at the time, right? So Pixar was tearing up the world with their movies, and Disney Animation Studios was doing okay, but not nearly as well as Pixar was doing. So I do wonder if that has something to do with it too. If the Pixar brand makes people want to come to the service and watch it, and not that the Disney brand doesn't do that. It's just another reason for people to keep their subscription and to want to see those movies because people do love Pixar. So I think that could be part of it too. But the whole Premier Access thing is interesting because you do eventually get it for free, right? So Mulan, I got to watch. I didn't pay for it. I waited for it to come for free on the service, and it was good. It was really good. I wouldn't have been sad if I would have paid for it. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have been like, oh man, I wasted my money. But I waited for it, and it was still fine to do it that way. I think it's all you're just paying for. I mean, it's the same thing with the theater, right? When you go to a movie theater, you're paying to see the movie now, as opposed to waiting for it to come to streaming or to home video, whatever. So like it's really the same model. It's just you're paying for getting it now instead of waiting.
Yeah, I think the thing that people get hung up on is that you're right. It is the same model. It's just you're taking the movie theater out of the equation. They're going
exactly.
My whole point was going to the movie theater, so why am I still paying for it? And it's like, well,
yeah.
Those movie theaters, the reason the tickets were so expensive is that, they were getting charged a good chunk of, the money that they made on it went back to the studios, and they really only made money on the popcorn anyway. So.
Yeah, I actually remember reading an interview one time with a theater executive where he said, we're not in the movie business, we're in the concessions business. That's how they make their money. They make almost no money on the actual movies themselves. They make most of their money on concessions. That's why they're so expensive. Mm-hmm. So anyway, but I don't think we gave a real reason for that because we probably don't know the real reason, but toys is definitely one of them. And I do think there's something to do with just Pixar. And but like I'm sure I'm sure Damon, you're psyched because Luca, I know you're excited to see Luca, and so now you're not gonna have to pay for that, so that's good. I mean, I'm not excited to pay for Black Widow, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I want to watch it. So all right.
I mean, I haven't been to a movie in like 2 years, so if I had to pay to watch Black Widow,
yeah. I think the last movie I saw in the theaters was Aladdin.
I think mine was Avengers Endgame.
Oh yeah, maybe it was Endgame. No, it was a Star Wars movie. No, no, it might have been Star Wars. That might be the last one I saw was the last Star Wars. I don't remember. It's been so long now.
Another lifetime.
Yeah, it feels like it. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the theater experience, but
I don't. I think the theater experience is totally overrated. I mean, at this point, you can get pretty darn close to it at home. So why bother?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I hate the theater experience for a lot of things, but to see like a movie like Star Wars in the theater, I think does have a little bit of a different feeling to it. But I know what you're saying.
It depends on how big you're willing to go at home. Throw a 130-inch screen 6 feet away with speakers. It's the same experience.
If you have that big of a screen, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Trevor? Sorry.
I was going to say, I think, I remember, when I was younger going to like over a year, I would go to the theater, 15, 20 times. But, lately, like kind of to what you're saying, Damon, is, because of the fact that I can get everything at home and, there's less and less of a draw. It's maybe one movie a year that I go and see in the theaters, if that.
I won't even go see that. Like I said, for me, it's not even worth it. I'd rather just stay at home. Can eat dinner, can have whatever snacks you want, can get up, go to the bathroom, can pause it. There's just too much benefit there.
No, I agree. That's a huge benefit too, though. The ability to pause it if you need to, yeah, I think I had to get up in the middle of Endgame because it was like 3 hours long, and I was like, you get the giant movie soda, and like halfway through, I'm like, I gotta go.
That's why you don't buy the soda ever.
I mean, you gotta buy the soda. You gotta buy the soda.
No.
Anyway, do you guys want to? Let's do our first ad before we talk about DVC news. That was our last question, so we'll do our DVC ad, and then we'll talk about this little DVC news item.
All right, so we have DVC Resale Market. Okay, DVC Resale Market, a World of DVC company, is the leader in the DVC resale industry with 13 former Disney Vacation Club guides and 3 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere, with DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. If you're thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of listings sell within 30 days. In 2020, DVC Resale Market helped over 3,600 families join or add on to their memberships. Go to dvcresalemarket.com or call 1-844-DVC-PROS, that's 382-7767. When you speak to them, please be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
Great. So it just, this isn't this sponsor, but I just want to mention to everybody, just next episode, we are going to have on a representative from DVC Rental Store. So we are going to have their brand ambassador on with us. So we'll post on our group any questions that, you might have for DVC Rental Store about the process, about, anything you want to ask about, either as trying to rent your points out to somebody or renting points from somebody. So, if you hear this and you're not in our Facebook group, email us, or you can, post a question in the Facebook group. Either way, we want your questions for this guest so we can ask as many questions as we can. And this is a new guest. This is somebody we never had on before. So this should be fun. And I'm hope we don't scare her off with our ridiculous behavior. But
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be exciting.
Yeah, me too. It'll be good to have a guest on to talk about that, because I know we've gotten questions about it, and part of the reason why this started actually was Damon had questions about the process. So I know he was looking into renting. So we were going to have somebody on to talk about this. So cool. So anyway, so that was all of our questions this week. Not a ton of questions this week. I think we might have posted the call for questions a little bit later than usual, but
I think it's also spring break for some people, so they're not necessarily thinking about this stuff, which is fair. We all need a break.
Exactly. So I wanted to bring this up because this was this is our DVC news section, and there's not always a lot of DVC news, and this isn't really news necessarily, but there was a segment in the most recent DVC. What do you call it? Why am I blanking on what the magazine is called?
DVC. Oh, the Insider.
Yeah, DVC Insider. Yeah, that's DVC Files. The DVC Files magazine. That's
sorry. Yeah.
So DVC Files. There was an article actually posted in there about the point chart adjustments. Because, there was a lot of people that were, upset about it because they changed things around. And so they gave a really detailed, reasoning behind it. And I mean, this is, stuff we knew, but I kind of appreciate them kind of going into the nitty gritty of why they did this. And truth be told, it feels like this is very much a, I mean, as we said this before, that this was a positive change for most people, right? So this is good for the whole, right? So it's not great for everybody, but the idea here is to spread demand out so that they're getting, people are able to get rooms when they want to get rooms, and that's the idea here. Because I think the number one complaint you get is people are like, I can't get a room at this time that I want to go. That's what they're trying to do here. So I don't know. Should I read this whole statement? This is pretty long.
No, I think you summarized it pretty well. The only thing I would pull out of it is, they use the example of, fall has typically been a very high, time for reservations. And a lot of that has to do with, people want to go for food and wine festival and just generally, fall has always been a busy DVC season. So
it's cheaper because it was lower points.
It was, traditionally it was. So they're trying to flip that by they've increased the points in fall, but then they've lowered the points in the summer season to try and encourage more people to, balance out either coming, in the summertime or, if you're going to come in the fall, it's going to cost you more points. And that's, I think, where a lot of people got upset was that, you know, they maybe had just enough points for, you know, a particular section in fall, and they may have been pushed out of being able to use those points, right? So it's a matter of, and, you know, I noticed this too, like looking at booking trips for next year, is it's like, you know, hey, I was used to, you know, having, you know, like 20 points left over, and I think. Yeah, I think I moved my trip to February, and it actually went over the amount of points that I have, but I wasn't worried about it because I already had banked points from this year into next year anyway. So it, you know, it didn't hurt me anything because, you know, I think a lot of people are in this situation right now, and I think this is also part of what they were trying to do is, you know, people have a lot of pent up points, and so readjusting and making these areas cost more is making people use up their points, which, you know, it helps us down the road so that we're not having to fight for availability because everyone has pent up points all the time, right?
I think that they're going to have to do a lot of different things because of the pandemic. And, you know, one of the things that they were doing is, I mean, food and wine and all that stuff was put into place because they were notoriously downtimes for them because nothing was really going on, right? And then all of a sudden it became this huge, like, oh, well, that's the time to go. I think they'll use certain things like that to adjust when people want to go as well. So I think that they have a lot on their plate, but they just can't do as much with the pandemic. So I don't necessarily know if we won't see another adjustment at some point as well. And, you know, they need to continue to adjust so that, like Trevor said, that we're not, you know, all going at one time, right? Disney's best scenario is that there is no busy week and there's also no down weeks, right? I mean, that's what they would like to see.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. And I mean, he says in here too, and this is the person that's their head of, oh gosh, where was it? What his title was. He's a manager of club strategy and development, but he said in his statement here, these annual reviews and strategic periodic adjustments are part of our ongoing multifaceted event to help members book the best possible vacation. To your point, Damon, they're going to keep doing this, right? This is going to be an annual review. They're going to keep looking at these and maybe make slight adjustments every year, as opposed to like the bigger ones like they made this year, which they do. They've always done that, right? So that's not surprising. But this is just kind of a bigger one that's happened this year and a bigger change.
I really think what this really means is that we need another festival.
we need another festival.
We've got three now, right? So,
well, yeah. There's art, there's food and wine, and there's flower and garden. No, and then there's the Christmas one. So there's 4.
Yeah, because the holiday one is good too. But yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that's what we're actually looking for. Is we need that one downside festival, right? That's during the down points of what the year currently has, and then trust me, that won't be a down point anymore.
It seems like what they've been doing is just kind of adjusting the start and end dates, right? Like, so they're making it start earlier and later, you know?
So there'll always be a festival going on? I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's
pretty much what's going on in Epcot, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I just wish there was more different ones, something different, but I don't even know if I need that.
Well, and I feel like they're leaning into the whole festival thing, right? They, you know, in the new plans for the new Epcot, they had the whole festival center that they were going to build. Like they're here to stay. They're not going anywhere. Yeah. And I'm with you, David. I'm all for the festivals. I love the festivals, you know?
So, because really it's that multitude of differing food options. So for the people that go often, you're saying, okay, I don't have to eat the same stuff, because that's another interesting thought. How often do the menus at restaurants change? It's not very often. So there's a bunch of different things that they could do that don't seem like they would be all that cost prohibitive, but I would take that as another option as well. Give me like a restaurant change week where what you're doing is you're making changes to the restaurant menu. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a festival, but that would be awesome. I'd be on board with that.
What were you going to say, Trevor?
I was going to say, so what would this next festival focus on? Because
that's what I'm saying. I'll be okay with being away from that festival now and being restaurant change week, where all the restaurants change their menus once a year.
Restaurant.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. Because really, what is the festival at the end of the day anyway? It's about eating. Just give me that. I'm good with that.
Even Flower and Garden, it's all about eating?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. Well, so like, but it's, you know, it's funny you said that, Trevor, but like, I feel I was thinking to myself, okay, like what different like themes could they do? But sometimes I feel like the overall food and wine festival is kind of like a catch-all, right? Like they can do anything they want within that generic festival, right? Like if they wanted to do a booth of all like, you know, future-y food, they could do that. You know, like they could just throw that into food and wine. Whereas, you know, the art festival and the Flower and Garden are a little more themed and a little more specific, and so is the holiday one. But like food and wine itself can just be anything they want it to be, right? It's just a generic theme. It's food and wine. So yeah, I know what you're saying though. I'm all for more festivals or making them longer. I mean, it's fine too. You know, if you want to do that, but I think now the only time a festival's not happening is basically like during the summer.
Yeah, because that's outside of DVC. That's the busiest time of year for people to come. So you know they don't feel
they don't need anything else.
Yeah, they don't need to run a festival during that time.
Exactly.
What other festival? I have a balloon festival. That would be awesome if they had little mini air balloons with characters in them over the parks. But like at a low enough level that they don't have to like impede any of the, you know, FAA law, air traffic laws. Like kind of keep them low. I'd do that.
Festival.
That would be great. So you could see like, you know, the characters riding over you in little mini balloons. I'm down with that.
What an interesting idea. You're just reminding me of a kid when I was a kid and there was the balloon festival in New Jersey.
Yes. Well, that's where it comes from.
That's where it comes from, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's what you're referencing. Yeah, I remember that. I think I met a Giants player when I was there. Anyway, yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a good idea, but reading this, like, I know it stinks for some people to have their points adjusted, to have the points adjusted, and now it's more expensive for you to go during a certain time of year than it was before. But
try something new, go a different time.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to get you to do, right? I mean, that's the idea here. So.
Yeah, I think for us, we were pretty locked in on September or November. And, we're now talking about, February, March, May kind of time frame because, yeah, the other thing too is that, like, I don't know about you guys, but, life keeps changing. And I'm realizing that, the time that we were going before may not actually be the best for us anyway. So, we do have to try a couple of different things. But again, everyone has different scenarios. But like Damon said, they're kind of giving you an out here to, you can justify going a different time of year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to push people to do that. And it makes sense. I mean, I think all of us want to be able to book whatever we want to be able to book. Right. So and that's what they're trying to do. So,
well, if you buy enough points, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. So I think we did enough on that topic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I want to talk this next one you have on here. The, I lost the
animated theme park tickets.
Yeah. Okay. So, and through Disney Magic Mobile Pass.
Yeah. This is the new phone thing that we talked about.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago on the smartphone. So your ticket is going to show up on your phone, and they're going to have all these different designs that you can do, like dozens of styles, and they're animated tickets. So like when you scan it, like it does some sort of little animation on your phone.
But I'm not looking at my phone when okay.
Listen, I think it's a cool feature. It's like your customized Magic Band. It's similar to that, I feel like.
I guess it just, a little animated picture on the phone seems a little, I don't know.
Seems like Tom shouldn't have made a news item about it. Like, it's not worthy.
I kind of had a feeling you guys were going to say that. That's fine. We can move on to the facial recognition thing.
Yeah, let's talk about facial recognition. That's kind of interesting.
I'm all for that. Magic bands are dead.
Well, you still need your Magic Band for this.
No, you don't. No, in the future, no more Magic Bands. They're all dead. You're just going to walk up and pay for things with your face. And that's it. And you know what? When you think about it, how much more money is that going to make them if all you have to do is just give a little wink and a nod and you're good, right?
What if you had like a PIN number that was a certain sequences of winks?
Okay, yeah.
Do YMCA to
food. You do a certain hand symbol, or you blink your right eye twice, followed by your left eye twice.
I honestly think though that this is what we're going to get at the end of the day. We are going to get a full blown facial recognition only, and it is going to make them so much money. It's going to be unreal. Because again, if the easier you make it to pay, the more money they're going to make.
Well, that's what Magic Band was in the beginning too, right? I mean, they even said in the beginning with Magic Bands that they made more per guest with Magic Bands than they did without, because people, you like you said, you made it super easy to pay. All you're doing is tapping your wrist and typing in a PIN number real quick. This is even easier.
I would love this. I would love this for everything and everywhere.
I think this will make sense for people like us. I think for one-time goers, you're still going to have Magic Bands, or at the very least, park tickets, because not everyone is going to elect to do this, right? I agree with you. It's way easier, and I'm on board with it too. But I'm just thinking about those one-ofs, and yeah.
We started talking about the topic before we explained it, by the way. So Disney's testing out facial recognition technology at Magic Kingdom. So whereas before you would scan your Magic Band, you put your fingerprint down, and instead of doing the fingerprint, they're using facial recognition, which is, of course, an important thing right now when we're trying not to touch things, to be kind of touchless, right? To have them just scan your face. Now, I think this is interesting that people are worried about, like, the confidentiality of this. Like, Disney doesn't have you on cameras every single place that you are in the entire park. Like, like if they wanted to steal your face, they could just do it from any of the many cameras they have around the parks already. And all they're really doing with this, it's the same thing they did with your fingerprint, right? So when you did your fingerprint the first time, they took it, they had an algorithm, it turned it into a number. They didn't save your fingerprint, they just saved the number, and then the number, was attached to your tickets. This is the same thing here. They're using your face, they're mapping it, they're creating a number with it, and then the number gets associated with your tickets. So it's not like they're going to make a clone out of you from scanning your face. Like I guess I don't know why people are worried about the privacy part of this in my mind, because they have you on camera everywhere.
Yeah, this is the thing, is if you're worried about privacy, by the time you've hit the transportation and ticket center, they already have you on camera, so you've kind of lost that battle anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And the other thing too about this is that, like you were saying, it's that next step, and it's really no different than the fingerprint. And I don't know why some people get kind of worked up about this stuff. Honestly, like it doesn't seem like
this actually feels less invasive than my fingerprint.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like. I actually think back to, when we went to Disneyland, like people don't realize how big of a problem it is for people like stealing park tickets, or like there's this underground, like people trading used park tickets and stuff like that. Like I saw a lady trying to get into Disneyland years ago, and she scanned a ticket, and the person, and they had the photo ID attached to the ticket, and the person looked at it, and right away a plainclothes security guard came over and started interrogating this lady where she got this ticket from, because it was obvious that she had bought it off of, who knows, like, it was a used ticket, or it was, a fake ticket of some sort. And so, she got caught with it. And the thing is, it's not that she was necessarily the one doing wrong, but there's somebody out there doing it, and you get a lot of innocent people that get caught in these kinds of things. And this facial recognition means that, if you bought a ticket, it's your ticket. It's not, traded with your friends or any of this stuff, which, some people may say, well, that's not fair. And it's like, yeah, but, Disney, Disney needs to control that, because, when you're on the other end of that, where you get screwed out of a park ticket because somebody stole your park ticket, at that point you would have wished that they had some way of controlling it, right?
Not only that, but how many times do your kids lose their Magic Bands? I mean, it's happened to us, the family we travel with, all of that sort of stuff. This is great for kids that happen to lose stuff all the time. I don't need to worry about it. And look, it's Disney property. They can do whatever they want. And if you don't like it, just don't go. That's it. Argue about the fingerprint, argue about facial recognition, just don't go.
Well, it's worth noting too, like if you refuse to do the fingerprint, they take a picture of you on a tablet. I mean, like regardless, they're going to take a picture of you, they're going to have your fingerprint, they're going to do something. So it's, even if you don't like the face thing, or the fingerprint thing, they're still going to have your picture in some way, somehow. So,
Face
this
just
is
means
testing, by the way. Good, sorry.
Yeah, the face thing just means, like you said, it's the least invasive. And people don't realize that, is that, it is actually the least invasive option of everything that we have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and based on what I'm reading here too, it seems like it went a lot faster than the fingerprint part. Like it seems like people were moving much more quickly through this. So that could also help lines too. I mean, it could help move people quicker through if you're just looking at a screen really quick and,
that would be nice.
Yeah, moving right through. So
I wonder how it's going to handle identical twins.
That is a tough one. That is a tough one.
Just thinking about the outlier situations, right?
Well, I mean, like, listen, right now they're testing it. People are still leaving their masks on, so they're not even getting the mouth part of your face. I don't even think that that's what they care about that right now, obviously, while this is being tested. I don't think that they anticipate people still having masks by the time they roll this out, wide. But they did have people take off their glasses and their hats. So, yeah.
That makes me wonder if it's actually more of an ocular recognition. They're just saying it's facial.
Yeah.
I think it is, isn't it? Wasn't it the eyes that they were saying?
Well, they were saying facial recognition, but I don't think they said anything about the eyes necessarily, but it could be.
No, I think there was something about that. If you kind of read into the thread a little bit, I think that some people were saying that that's what they were doing, which would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to worry about masks or anything.
Yeah, it's just your eyes, right? So.
Yep.
Yeah, this is an interesting test. They're doing this test for the next 30 days, by the way. This is a 30-day test that they're doing. So, we'll have to see what they decide to do with this, obviously, at some point. If it's still there when I go to Magic Kingdom in a month now, I'll definitely test it out. We'll have to see if they, expand the test or if they end it within this 30 days. But I think it's cool. I think it's a good... I mean, it's a logical next step, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can still wear my Magic Band, too. That's the other thing. I know you say Magic Bands are dead, Damon, but, I can still wear my Magic Band. You can't stop me.
You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. They're dead, but you can do whatever you want.
I'll still wear it.
Speaking of my Magic Bands, my wife and I cannot find our Magic Bands from our last trip, and now we're looking at buying new ones. we don't know where they are. They're somewhere. They're somewhere in this house. I know they are, but...
Another good reason, going back to what Dame was saying about, people losing their Magic Bands, right?
Yeah.
And Magic Mobile, too, right? This is the good thing about having it on the phone, too. So,
I mean, unless you lose your face, you're good.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's the harder one.
Yeah. Why don't we go ahead and do the ad for Monera, and then we'll pick back up with talking about the train.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so we talked about DVC resale market before. If you're looking for financing options for your DVC purchase, look no further than Monera Financial. Monera, a World of DVC company, is the industry leader in financing DVC resale contracts. Monera offers lending with no credit checks, often very low down payments, terms as long as 10 years, and no prepayment penalties. If you're thinking of purchasing a DVC contract, go check out their quick online quote first. You might be surprised at just how affordable joining DVC can be. So go to monerafinancial.com or call 317-245-8800. And when you speak to them, make sure you let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
I'm just waiting for that zero down.
That's zero down?
I'm waiting for that zero
low down payments. Very low down payments, though. I mean, it's pretty low. So this is not something I want to talk about necessarily a lot, but we've been talking about the high-speed rail train to get to Disney World, and so more information is coming out about this now, and it looks like
everyone's hosed. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, pretty much. That basically they're now looking to start service as early as 2026. Which sounds about right. That doesn't shock me because anytime we have any of these train, kind of high-speed rail construction projects, they take forever. I mean, they don't even have the route mapped out yet for this. So they still got to buy all the land and all that stuff. I don't even think they have any of that. So they're still pretty far off with this train.
Sorry, I'm hung up on you saying high-speed rails take forever.
They take forever here.
There's
to build.
There's a bit of an oxymoron there, I think.
Oh, okay, because it's high speed. Yeah, well,
but it's taking forever. Yeah,
the construction projects take forever.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's annoying, but it still doesn't change what we're doing because you can still get on the. I know for myself, it would be great to just to hop on a bus or hop on the train and go, but the Mirrors buses will still be operating. So,
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I mean, this is much like, you see, you're used to this because you are used to going to Disneyland where they, didn't really have a service, right? So, you had to get yourself there anyway, right?
They had the express bus. They called it the Disneyland Express or something, but it was still operated. Actually, I think it was through Mears as well.
Yeah, probably.
But again, you still had to pay for it. And
yeah, exactly.
It didn't make me want to go any less.
Yeah, I always felt like the train option was going to be a while off, but I mean, once it finally does get into place, sure, it's going to be better, but it's still far off.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about this one for long because I feel like we have some good ones coming up here.
Speaking of things we'll never get.
Oh man, if I lived in Florida, I'd get this in a heartbeat.
Right. I mean, I guess you stand a better chance of getting so that they revealed Walt Disney World license plates in honor of the 50th anniversary. So you can get, if you live in Florida, you can get a Disney World license plate, which, how quick are these going to get stolen off of people's cars?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, you're probably right. These are legit license plates. They're not like decorative. Yeah. These are your actual license plate. And it's got the 50th anniversary logo on it, and it's got Walt Disney World on it. And they've never done this before. I think they said it was the first time that they've done it with something like this. But 100% of the proceeds go to Make-A-Wish, which is cool too. I mean, that's, it's not like Disney getting a profit here. This is them. It's $25 to get it, and all of the funds go to Make-A-Wish. So, which is cool.
Yeah, I don't think these are going to get stolen. You can't steal somebody's license plate. Like, that's a step up from a magnet, man.
From stealing the magnets?
Well, because what are you doing with it anyway?
People take, like, road signs and put them up in their garage. So I could see somebody taking license plates and putting them up on a wall.
But in the U.S., my guess is that the difference between taking that stuff and a license plate holds a little bit of a different penalty.
I feel it's very illegal to steal a license plate.
I don't disagree with you, but people have done dumber things.
That's true. I feel like you always see it in a movie right before there's like a heist about to happen. They always like steal someone's license plate.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see too much of that.
But yeah, no, I think these are cool though. I would get this if I lived in Florida. I think it's a neat looking, especially since the proceeds go to Make-A-Wish. But also just because I think it's a cool looking design. I like the logo and it's cool to get a Disney plate.
Mm-hmm.
I think so anyway.
So it's a criminal offense, by the way, in Florida.
Oh, yeah. You Googled this? Yeah.
I figured as much, but again, I don't, people do dumber things.
Yeah, no, that's true. So would either of you guys get this if you were in Florida?
No. Nope.
No, I wouldn't. They offer, up here you can get a license plate for the local hockey team for the Calgary Flames, which, is cool. I've seen a couple of cars with those plates, but yeah, it's a lot of extra work when I already have a license plate.
Understood. It makes sense.
Here in North Carolina, it's super easy to get a custom plate.
Oh yeah, there's tons of them. Yeah, and they have lots of designs too.
And it's cheap and it's easy. It's not like New Jersey was. It's way easier down here.
You do it all online. It's like you do it online in like.
And it's cheap though.
Yeah. Yeah. For how much is it, like $30, something like that?
I don't know, but I think in New Jersey the tough part was it was a reoccurring fee every year. Yeah. I don't know if it is here. I don't think it is.
Well, it's also a lot different here because our driver's licenses last for like 7 years. In Jersey, it was like 1 year. Like every year you had to go get a new license.
Oh my gosh.
I think it was every 2 years, but here it's 7 years. And it's like
Trevor, Tom's just lying. He hasn't been in New Jersey long enough to know. That's not the case, Tom.
It was every 2 years, I swear.
Okay.
Maybe it felt like that. I don't know.
Maybe it felt like that.
I don't know. It's been a while since I lived there, but I grew up in New Jersey. What are you talking about?
Coincidentally, I literally just renewed my license yesterday because ours is every 5 years. So
I'm going to Google this now, Damon. I need to look it up. And find out because
we've started something apparently. Or well, I don't know what you guys. I don't get the whole New Jersey thing. So
It's 4 years. Okay,
exactly. That's not every 2 years.
I swear it was 2
Tom
years.
Tom misremembers New Jersey because it's been so long since he's been there.
No,
and he wasn't. And here's the other thing, Trevor. He wasn't actually in real New Jersey anthis so it's very difficult.
What are you talking about? I wasn't in real New Jersey.
You were in the most non-New Jersey part of New Jersey, right? You were in this pseudo middle Jersey, whatever they call it. It. Doesn't really exist. No one really claims that part of New Jersey.
I mean, I don't have anything to say to that. It's part of New Jersey. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway.
Kind of New Jersey, like, maybe.
I mean, do you consider like South New Jersey not New Jersey too? Is it only the parts that are up by New York that are New Jersey?
I mean, you have South Jersey, and that's totally like a Philly thing.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but it's, it's not the same as Middle New Jersey, which is nothing.
Which is nothing. All right, well.
Nothing. It's just this blank area. Unless you live down the shore, right? And then you're down the shore. So there's really only three parts of New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
There's Northern New Jersey, the shore, and South Jersey, and that's it. So I don't know where Tom lived, but it wasn't any of those places.
I swear I remember it being like every 2 or 3 years you had to get your license renewed. But it's been a while.
It wasn't, because I got my license in New Jersey. I mean, and then had it in New Jersey.
I did too, but I just don't remember.
This whole metropolis thing is very confusing to me. For me, it's you either live in Calgary or you don't.
Tom lived in some like alternate universe of like, really you could plop and take the middle of New Jersey and stick it like Midwest and it would fit better. Like that's kind of like how that area fit into the whole scheme of the U.S.
What are you? That doesn't make any sense at all. I lived in a very highly populated area
of Middle New Jersey.
Yeah, it was highly
I'm air quoting over here.
It wasn't like the farms down south or like the the parts up north that are the mountains. I mean, I lived in like a suburb. It was it's a pretty large area. So I don't know what you're talking about.
There's three parts of New Jersey, as I said: north, south, and the shore. That's it. It's all that exists.
Is Narnia in there too? Like
he might as well have gone through a cabinet to get to his home, because that's what I feel like about that part of New Jersey.
Ridiculous. All right. Well, I put this next topic on there just for you, Damon, even though it feels kind of flimsy. Feels extraordinarily flimsy.
But you know what?
This is a rumor. Yeah.
This is so rumor, but it definitely is like changed my whole thought process. So, the rumor again of Future World Hotel project possibly revitalized.
In Epcot. Yeah.
In Epcot. Yeah. Like, I don't even know if we need to go through anything else. I mean, either you heard it or you haven't. But again, this is my dream.
It is.
This is my dream. So it makes it very difficult if they did put a hotel in the front of Epcot, anywhere in Epcot where I'm in Epcot, or just, a short, quick, I don't know, 5 steps away, right? Like I need to be close. If this happens though, I'm buying there. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's not even a question. Like this would throw any other discussion out of the window if this existed.
That's just where you're going to get. That's where you're going to buy no matter what.
Yeah, like I think I would buy there no matter what. Just because.
Would you sell your current points and just go all in there? Oh, okay.
No. Because the thing is, too, is I started to think, like, maybe I want to buy just some points for, my kids to have. Because, right, my kids really, in theory, they won't really have my points, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, no, yeah.
That's what I was thinking, like, maybe, if there was something like that. So I think that would be interesting.
This is heavy rumor, by the way. So this was a rumor like a couple years ago now. I think it was like 2017 that this was a rumor. But then this guy on YouTube, that's a real estate agent, found some sort of information that there was bidding beginning on this hotel. So like meaning like contractors bidding for the contract to build it. I don't know if that means anything, but
it's fun to talk about though. And this, man, I think this would be a tough buy, because I think a lot of people are going to go that same route, right? Because if they do what they say they're going to do, it will really be the only one that's in a park. Like in a park.
Well, let me think. Maybe for now that we'll see when we get to it. Yeah. At Disney World. Yes.
Disney World. Who cares about Disneyland? We don't care about that. We care about Disney World.
Oh, Damon.
There's also, I think Disneyland Paris has one. A couple of foreign parks too.
For Disney World, that would be a game changer. And I think that the same thing, though, Trevor, would happen as what happens in Disneyland, right? I think it would be untouchable.
Yeah, it would be a premium, and unless you have it, you're not getting in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it's already tough. Even the ones that like a boardwalk or a beach club, beach and yacht club, that's in the close proximity. it's hard to get those, right?
It would be tough because I don't know what I would want point wise. I think that if this opened up, I'd have to start doing a split stay, I feel like. And then the question is, do you do it in the beginning or the end of your stay?
Trip. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do it and then like eat, and then you're like, oh, no more food. When is this over? Or I think you kind of do it as the last part of your trip, right?
Yeah. It's worth noting that the address on this has this hotel residing between, oh gosh, where's the picture? Like right, kind of like behind the Living Seas, kind of.
Yeah,
that would be
like
awesome.
between the land and the Living Seas.
Yeah.
What if there was another restaurant that looked onto the aquarium or something?
Like, you mean from the hotel somehow?
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be cool. I don't know if you could do that, but depends how close they would build it to the Living Seas.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is pretty cool. I guess it's called the Seas now. It's not necessarily, it's not the Living Seas anymore.
We all know what it means.
Yeah, we all know it's the Living Seas. Still, always, forever, right? But yeah, this feels very, very flimsy though, because this is just some dude on YouTube that found some sort of listing for bidding for this project back in February. Right?
But man, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I will say I'm thinking back to we had one stay at the Grand California where our room was literally above the entrance into California Adventure. Mm-hmm. And the way that trip started was, the beginning of the trip, we were over in Disneyland most of the time. And we were there for 6 days. And by the end of the trip, so like day 4, 5, and 6, we were pretty much entirely in California Adventure because of the fact that, we walked in, we would go do whatever. And then when we were tired, we would just pop back up to the room, take a break, if it was
nice,
raining,
right?
change. Yeah. And so that kind of what your point, Damon, is, it turns into you're not actually even leaving your like hotel bubble. It feels like you're just like popping downstairs to do something. When you've had enough, you just go back upstairs, have a break. So yeah,
I mean, the thing is, reservations would have to go away for this to be really, really worthwhile, though.
Yeah,
right. That's the only problem, I think.
Or it has to change enough that you can. Yeah, you don't have to plan 60 days out, right? Like it has to be very, you can just kind of wander around and.
I just go, I think we should go to Epcot for dinner. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing is, though, Disney Springs is making a fair play at that food, situation, which is what Epcot was so good for. I mean, Disney Springs is pretty close to the same thing now, right? I mean, what sort of food can you get in Epcot that you can't necessarily get in Disney Springs now?
There's a lot of good food options at Disney Springs, yeah.
So maybe Saratoga is actually the hidden gem that you don't realize.
This is
it's that accessible to Disney Springs, right?
Yeah, you can just pop over. Yeah. The only thing is that I don't feel like there's as much just pop over there food, you know what I mean? Not sit down wise. I mean, Disney Springs, you're more sit down. I mean, there are like the Morimoto street food, and there are, your favorite poutine place, right? With the taco poutine, which is the best. But outside of that, like and I think it also gets more crowded at Disney Springs. I don't know how that's possible, but it feels more crowded.
Just no park ticket, right?
Yeah, because anybody can show up anytime, right? So,
yeah,
you don't need a ticket, so anybody can just go and wander around if they want. This kind of reminds me, though, I know I keep mentioning this, but I was watching the Imagineering story again, and, if you look back at the plans for Westcott, the West Coast version of Epcot, they talked a lot about having, like, hotels within the park that you could, like, at night at, like, 2 o'clock in the morning, you could, like, walk out and wander around, like, if you wanted to, which would be really cool. Not that you could do this here. You probably wouldn't be able to go and wander around Epcot, at 2 o'clock in the morning, but still, like, the idea of that proximity is pretty cool.
Yeah, I can see that because, again, being in California Adventure when everyone else is leaving and you're like you that's exactly what it is. When the park is closing or when everyone else is thinking about, oh God, I got to drive home for an hour, I got to drive back to my hotel or whatever, and you're just standing there like, well, I can leave in 5 minutes and be back at my bed. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. I see where they're going with that for sure.
I do hope that they do this, and it does seem like Disney is all of a sudden on a, I don't want to say all of a sudden, but it seems like they're starting to bring back some of their some of their spending around projects, right?
Yeah,
which leads us into our next topic, doesn't it?
Yeah, there is definitely a push, and this next topic is specifically the Disneyland Resort announced plans for theme park expansions and more. So, there is a site.
Who saw this coming? By the way, this was shocking.
I mean, I didn't think they would push it as hard as they did. I was hoping that it would happen. I'm glad that they're being aggressive about it is the big thing, because for a long time they've been playing nice with the city of Anaheim, and there's been a whole bunch of political stuff, and the city of Anaheim hasn't wanted Disney to do certain things, and they we've talked about the next DVC hotel that got shut down and eventually turned into an expansion of the Disneyland hotel. This is them, I think Disney finally said, fine, we're not going to ask the city of Anaheim for anything additional. So this expansion is using all land that Disney currently owns. So they're not asking for any more land. They're not buying up any additional land. They're just saying, we're taking our land and we're designing. It's not actually a third theme park. It's an expansion to both Disneyland and California Adventure. Is what they're doing. But part of these expansions is that it will encompass both the Disneyland Hotel and Paradise Pier. So those hotels will actually turn into what we were just talking about, is hotels that have, or that they're in the middle of a Disney park. And so, you do have literally that bubble of being inside of Disney, staying in the park when everyone else is going home.
I think it's interesting that you brought up the political part of this, right? Because I saw this and I immediately saw in my mind that Disney's seizing an opportunity here. And what I mean by that is Anaheim is getting killed. Their tax revenue is getting killed by Disneyland being closed. I just read an article. They had to take out a $200 million loan to cover the tax shortfall, right? I think Disney sees this and goes, Anaheim's vulnerable. We can throw all this stuff out into the public and, be like, this is what we want to do to revitalize the city. And it puts the city in a bad position where they have to be like, well, we kind of need them, which is obvious. And we need to kind of go along with what they're saying here. And this is interesting because they're talking about stuff from the 90s that the city approved, specific plans to guide the growth of Disneyland Resort and businesses. They talk about these plans that were already approved, but what they're asking them to do, they were like traditional, like zoning, basically, that was done. Disney wants to do combination theme park, restaurant, retail, hotel, all in the same place. So instead of just these traditional like zones. So I do think Disney's doing this strategically to put Anaheim in a bad position and, I think they sensed an opportunity because Anaheim is struggling a little bit, which is terrible. We don't want them to struggle, but I think Disney knows that, and they're coming in and going, look, we can make all these investments and bring in all this new tax revenue and bring in all these new people, and by expanding all this and employ all these other people to do this, and they are naming it Disneyland Forward. That they even have a website. I didn't look at the website, but I saw that they have a website up with all these plans in it, and it's interesting that they're trying to utilize things from the 90s that were already approved to go with this. Yeah, and it's they're very smart to do this, right? It's totally, they know coming out of the pandemic here, like you said, they know the position that the city is in, they know the position that they're in, and this is absolutely the right move, and it's hard not to see it as a win-win because, like you said, it's going to help the economy. There's going to be a ton of construction, a ton of jobs created because of this. And then, Disney is also, they've made sure that they've said, hey, we're not asking for any extra tax breaks or anything like that. So they're making it really hard for the city to say no. And the thing is that this gets them back in a position where, it seemed like the last couple of years, as we had talked about it on the show, is that it seemed like, Disneyland was kind of, the city of Anaheim
was kind of, they were playing hardball with Disney and saying, no, you're not running the show. You're not.
They had the upper hand for a while.
Yeah. They were really controlling it. And this is, I think, Disney's way of bringing that back around.
Yep.
And saying, sorry guys, I understand, but you got to remember that, Disneyland is kind of the reason, like, this was an orange field
there
before. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. The reason Anaheim is even there. Yeah. But I do think it's interesting they're talking here. The lands could include that they would add Frozen, Peter Pan, Tangled, which is coming to Tokyo Disney Seas, the Zootopia Land from Shanghai Disney, Toy Story Land from Hollywood Studios, Tron Light Cycle Run. They also, I don't know if so some people zoomed in on the theme, on like the concept art, and noticed that there was like a Black Panther land in there. In the plans, and part of me thinks that Disney's like, these plans are not obviously all that finalized, right? So it's more of we could do all this, we could do all that, we could do all this, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like, yeah,
concept art is just that. It's just concepts. I'm not holding my breath for one thing or another. The one thing though that so from the concept art, and I know that there's always a direction that comes from it. So my brother in 2019 went to Tokyo Disney Sea. So he, I saw a lot of video and a lot of pictures from that. And so Disney Sea is, it's kind of like their equivalent of California Adventure, but there's a lot of really cool stuff there that, when I looked at it, I was like, yeah, they've got like Midway Mania, but then they've got this cool, Journey to the Center of the Earth ride and stuff like that. And
inside the volcano.
Yeah. And that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this, is that, like they said, it sounds like they're going to bring some attractions that previously existed in, other countries, and they're going to roll those into Disneyland, which, that just makes Disneyland all that more attractive. And, I don't have to see like, Black Panther or anything. It's, really whatever comes up there, more is better. And it gives me, that we were already talking about buying points at the new expansion to the Disneyland Hotel. This is going to kind of seal that for us, is,
sure,
it's a no brainer for us to get points there, because, there's going to be all this new stuff, but it's still also somewhere that we want to go, even regardless of all this being built, we were still planning to go there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But how do you feel though about them like importing stuff from different places? Like I think it would be cooler to have unique stuff there, but if they are going to bring in stuff from other places, like maybe don't do it from like one of the US parks. If you do it from one of the foreign parks, I think that's better, because it's more unique, right? So like if you're bringing in the Zootopia Land, or if you're bringing in the Tangled one or the Frozen one, those don't exist at Disney World, so that would be cool to have it at Disneyland, as opposed to bringing in Toy Story Land, which we already have at Hollywood Studios,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's, I think they need to do that. They need to bring, and I guess, on the flip side of that, a lot of the attractions that started in Disneyland were mirrored at Disney World and were mirrored at other international parks. So, it has already gone the other way. They're already in the habit of doing this, because, Disney has always found ways to save costs. You can go back to looking at, old movies where they reused animation between movies, just, like redrew the character, but used the same animation because it saved them money. This is the same thing as, they do reuse rides across the parks. And, if they said, we're bringing in a ride from Hong Kong Disney, even, Tron Light Cycle Run is a good example of that. It existed overseas and they're bringing it over. Am I going to be mad that somebody else had it first? No, because, I get to at least get on it now.
I guess I'm more looking at it at the standpoint of, you're somebody who goes to both Disneyland and Disney World. Wouldn't you rather have unique things in both places?
Yes and no. The thing is, even the rides that are duplicated between the parks, there's enough difference between them that they both feel unique to me. Like
gotcha. Okay.
I will, like I said earlier, I want to ride Pirates and Haunted Mansion when I go to Disney World. Same thing when I go to Disneyland. I don't write off those rides just because they exist in both parks.
Yeah, but Pirates is different at Disneyland, right? I mean, it's got a whole different...
And so is Haunted Mansion.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It is. You're right. So they're different rides. Like, I guess I get when they do the cookie cutter stuff that's exactly the same, like at least make it a little bit different, I guess. I don't know.
I can't think of a ride specifically that is cookie cutter between parks.
That's a good point. But I'm saying if they throw in, if they bring over Tron Light Cycle Run, it would just be like the same ride. It would just be the exact same ride, right?
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
Rise of the Resistance is the same, right? And the Star Wars stuff is the same.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, okay, fair point. I guess I haven't been to Disneyland since Star Wars, so yeah. I guess if those are direct clones, then yeah, I can see the point there. Is I would skip those if I knew that they were exactly identical and I'd already ridden them in Disney World.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah, I didn't really think about that.
That being said, talking about this Black Panther thing, so like I think it would be cool, but I also feel like if you're going to build Wakanda, like you don't like just based on the concept art where it looks like it's in like a little corner, I feel like just making the big like stone Black Panther thing and then some like waterfalls and a ride just feels underdeveloped. Like it feels like if you're going to do it, you know?
You haven't been to Radiator Springs though.
Yeah, that's
Radiator Springs is not a huge land. It's literally just the main road in Radiator Springs. And when you think about it, like that's not a lot of space. It's not.
No, it's not.
It's very straightforward, but it is so well done that when you walk in there, it takes your breath away for starters. And even the ride is in the back corner. They can definitely do it. Space is not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is making sure that they're making good use of the space and good use of the theming.
I also want to know, Trevor, if they keep tearing up these parking lots, where are people parking nowadays? This California Adventure was a parking lot. This would be a parking lot that they're tearing up. Like, where are people parking?
So what's happened is that I know specifically on Harbor, so Harbor Boulevard is one of the roads that runs right next to Disneyland. This was where all the hotels were that, when Disneyland was built, a bunch of people bought up the property nearby and built these hotels, and they've had these hotels for years and have refused to sell them. And, Walt even got annoyed because he wanted to expand and he couldn't because, everyone had boxed him in with these hotels. Over the last couple of years, I know a couple of the hotels have been bought up and torn down for the intent of, parking space. So they, and they're also building, they're not just building parking lots anymore, they're building parking structures. So, it's these vertical structures so they can fit more people in there. I think what you're going to see is more and more, these hotels that were next to Disney, some of them are getting run down and some people, they've had them for so long and, they want to sell them off. And
Disney has the money now to buy them off and take them. Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening is, Disney is taking those opportunities. And so you'll eventually have, you'll have less of those neighbor hotels, which, really is, not that big of a deal, but yeah, it's going to change a lot in the next couple of years, I think, is what you're going to see. And I think a lot of people, that were used to, having all these other smaller hotels nearby, you're just going to see those hotels disappear and there's going to be parking structures there now.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you need the parking, right? So,
yeah.
All right. Well, anything else on this topic or anything else we want to bring up before we wrap this show up for the day?
No. One last thing. So the only thing we didn't mention was west of. So there's this big expansion, So the big expansion is east of Disneyland, but then there's another section of land that they have west that's actually by the convention center. I have that backwards. Sorry. The west expansion is what we were talking about. The east expansion is by the convention center, where they're talking about turning that into like what Disney Springs is now, but it's going to be like accessible by the convention center. So
gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. Something to think about there.
Yeah, and it does look like they were talking about a new parking destination on the east side of the resort, which would include a pedestrian bridge. So it looks like, I mean, they're going to think about that kind of stuff. So, and Disney will work with area businesses in the city to invest in and encourage the use of public transit and ride sharing. So there's a lot of stuff that they've worked out here. I mean, like, listen, there's a chance that none of this happens, right? So like they still got to get the Anaheim to go along with this, and they, still need to get secure the funds internally to do it. And, but it seems like they want to expand the parks, and that's a smart thing to do. And it's good investment for that area, and, means more jobs and more people going through that area. So I think it's a great thing. I mean, I'm excited for it, and especially to see some of these, what they come up with, what lands they do end up putting in there, and what new things that they put in there. I think it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing I said this on our Facebook chat, and I still stand by this, is, regardless of what they do, I'm never staying at Paradise Pier again. It's just not a good hotel.
I've never stayed there, so I don't know, but I'm sure there's some of our listeners that are laughing at that right now. So, yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap up then on that note.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I lost my place in the rundown. Oh boy.
Do you even need it at this point? Like, you probably remember all this stuff. We've done this like 120 times now.
Exactly 120 times. Yes.
Exactly 120. This will be the 120th. Yes. So.
Yeah. Okay.
It was funny because just 1 second. Hold on 1 sec. So I did that guest. I did like the guest spot on DCL Duo, and that came out this week. And I had to laugh because my mom texted me and she's like, "Oh, you sounded really good on that podcast." And I'm like, "Mom, I do this every week. Like, this is not, it's not a new thing for me. Like, like, I've got some experience talking about this stuff into a microphone. I know what I'm doing." So, but it was very nice of her. It was a very sweet mom thing to text me. But still, I had to laugh at that because I was like, we've done it a few times,
You haven't listened to the other 100+ episodes I've done, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But please, everyone, please go check that out. That's our friend over there. And, check out DCL Duo. And if you really want to listen to me babble on more, please go do that. And it's a good podcast that they put on there. So anyway.
If you're interested in cruises, go listen, because
exactly. If you're interested in cruises, yeah. What's amazing is they just started their podcast last year, and they're on like episode 90 something. And it's like, man, we've been doing this for 4 years. We're only on 120. We're like really slackers compared to some of these other people. So anyway.
Okay, let's wrap this up now. All right, as usual, if you guys have any questions, we talked earlier about we're going to be having a DVC rental store on our next episode, and if you're listening to this and you're not in the Facebook group, you can always email us questions at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. So keep that in mind. We always love hearing from you guys, and we still get lots of questions via email, so keep them coming. Outside of that, as I mentioned, we are on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, look for Welcome Home Disney Waitlist. Get in there. Next week we have a DVC resale market. So, there will be questions in there. And outside of that, our members in there post really fun stuff. Sometimes there's good discussion there. Everyone's there to talk Disney like how we talk Disney on this podcast. So make sure you join that group. And also, if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, it's called Welcome Home Podcast. Once we get back to the parks, you'll see more activity on there. Tom should be able to put up some videos once he's able to get to the park in April. So if you're not subscribed there, make sure you are, so you don't miss that kind of stuff. And you can also follow on Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. Same reason, is once we're able to start doing more park reports and stuff like that, you'll be able to get more of that content on those platforms. And as usual, if you do like our merchandise, if you would like a t-shirt or a mug or a mask or anything like that, and you want to support us, make sure you go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and pick some stuff up, because it helps us out and you guys get some cool merchandise. And as usual, if you found us on iTunes, or even if you just have an Apple account, leave us a review on iTunes, or any other service that allows you to leave reviews. We do read the reviews, but it also helps other people find the podcast.
We read every review, and sometimes we read them on the show.
Exactly.
If they're entertaining. Of course, also don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any place you can find podcasts. You can find us. Just search for Welcome Home and look for the one that says Disney and DVC. By the way, I saw another podcast that started last year that completely just stole that a Disney and DVC podcast right off of our tagline. I was like, I want to talk to these people. They just just copy and pasted it.
Really?
Yeah. I'm gonna I forget what the name of the podcast was besides that part, right? They had a different part in the beginning.
It wasn't like DVC podcast y'all or something like that?
No, it wasn't that. It'd be funny if one of our listeners started that, though. That'd be pretty funny. A couple people have tried to request to get in that group, by the way, and no one's getting into it. It's shut down. So anyway, continuing. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, any and all opinions we express on this show are our own. So please consult a Disney cast member or DVC representative for more information about anything we talked about today. Huge thank you to our sponsors, DVC Resale Market and Monera, for sponsoring this episode. Please check them out. We only ask that you support the people that support us, and they do support us quite a bit, and they have for 4 years. So DVC Resale Market has anyway, but Monera is there too, so please check them out. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit its hair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.